The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everyone to another in our monthly series of DMA Analytics Community webinars. I'm Lisa Maurizio-Smith and I manage 5 DMA member communities. See here, slide 2 please. See here some of the many benefits of community membership along with some current activities. I'd like to highlight a few now. DMA 360 is our new mashup of LinkedIn and YouTube, and it's now open for members, and we encourage you to contribute short videos and articles or start a discussion in any of one of the channels. Login information will be included in your post-event email. Join us at the end of the month, August 30th, for the 2017 Analytics Journal Authors Roundtable. We have 9 of the authors who will be on store to take your questions based on the articles that they wrote in that journal. And speaking of journals, the deadline for a 500-word abstract for the 2018 journal is August 11th. So author guidelines can be found on the website. Again, more information will be forthcoming. Next month's webinar is September 13th, the mid-year update on ad fraud. First the good news, led by Dr. Augustine Fu. This and much more can be found at thedma.org. And now for today's webinar. Use the questions function to pose your inquiries. They will be addressed in the order that they come in at the end of the webinar. We'll also be on Twitter, so you can continue the conversation at #DMACommunities. And now I'm pleased to introduce our featured speakers, Matt Alhaery, Analytics Solution Architect at IBM Global Business Services, and Dr. Eunju Su, Associate Professor, Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management at Florida International University. Eunju?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to have an opportunity to present the research that my co-author and I've been working on. And thank you for DMA and audience being here listening to our presentation. I will talk about first part of the presentation to go over the objectives of this study and overview the online gaming industry and also the increased attention the millennials are receiving from the gaming industry. And my co-presenter, Matt, will show the analytical approach we took and the findings we discovered, along with some discussion points and suggestions for future research. Next slide, please. Hello, Matt. Oh, thank you. So there has been a lot of ongoing discussion about millennials and their gaming behavior in the gaming industry. While millennials are not visiting casinos like other generations, such as baby boomers, this generation is perceived to be more involved in online gaming than any other generations, mainly because the millennials' familiarity with technology. However, a lot of claims regarding the millennials are anecdotal rather than empirical, and there is lack of empirical research examining millennials' gaming behaviors. So my co-author, Matt, and I decided to examine millennials' gaming behavior and compare their behaviors to other generations' behavior. With respect to the online gaming industry, also known as iGaming, is currently allowed in Nevada, New Jersey, and Delaware in the United States. However, other states are considering the legalization of online gaming. Pundits claim that the growth of online gaming is inevitable with the increased use of smartphones for mobile gaming and access to internet. Next slide, please. And because millennial is the largest generation with increasing purchasing power, and they are familiar with the technology, These millennials are expected to be the core player demographic in online gaming, and also they are perceived as an emerging market with great potential. As a result, the gaming industry paying increasing attention to this generation. For example, MGM Grand, a hotel and casino located in Las Vegas, is offering 12,000 square foot lounge where young people can play social games, skill-based games, and also they can socialize and drink and eat. Next slide, please. About this millennials gaming behavior, they are claimed to be more interested in social, interactive, and skill-based video or table games. Mainly because they grew up playing video games. They are also claimed to be more into online gaming because they are grew up with mobile and digital technology. Next, please. While millennials are receiving increasing attention, some argue that millennials receive more attention than they deserve. For example, Tim Wilmot, CEO of Pan National Gaming, said he rather focused on Generation X than millennials. Also, it is argued that baby boomers are still the bread and butter to many casinos. Some studies show that millennials spend rather money on entertainment, clubs, and food and beverage than spending money on gaming. Next, please. So, my co-author Matt and I decided to examine millennials' online gaming behavior and compare their behaviors to other generations. And we are hoping that this study provides better understanding of online gaming behavior among different generations and become a foundation for future research on similar topics. And we are hoping that this research can help casino managers develop appropriate casino games, casino products, and marketing strategies to attract millennials as well as other generations in online gaming market. So we examined 3 generations. They are millennials, Generation X, and baby boomers. The reason was because they were the majority of the players, customers in a typical casino's database. And we followed the definition defined by the Pew Research Center. So millennials are the ones that are born between 1981 and 1997, and their ages are, as of 2017, they are between 20 to 36. And Generation X are the ones born between 1965 to 1980, and the baby boomers are the ones that are born between 1946 to 1964. And from now on, Matt will take over and go over the analysis we've done and the findings we've discovered.
Thank you, Eunju. Okay, so we had some data from an online casino operated in the U.S. There, the sample size was 2,639 players. This may seem like a small sample, but considering that the industry is at its infancy, it was actually a good sample to do our analysis. So the data we got was over 6 months time period in 2015. It was tracked gaming play, and these variables that we had represented how many times a player went online to play, how much they played, the length of time that they have established their relationship with the casino, the interval time between play, and bonus reward amount, and other variables. We also had promotional response data. That is when the online casino would offer a particular player a certain amount of bonus in order to play. We knew if the player actually responded to that bonus and took advantage of that promotion. We also had some demographic information as well. So we did the analysis. The first thing we did is to find out if the populations are different. That is, each generation is different. And for that, we used the Kruskal-Wallis test, which is a non-parametric alternative to the one-way ANOVA. This is to find out differences between the different groups. Then we did a post hoc test to find out which pairs of generations are the same. The alpha level we did was at 5%, which means at 95% accuracy. And for the statistical tool, we use IBM SPSS Statistics version 19. For the distribution of the population that we had by generation, we had 901 baby boomers, average age was 58. For Generation X, we had 1,022 people, median age was 42, and we had 631 millennials with minimum age of 21, of course, that's the age you're supposed to be in order to play, and the mean age was 29. We had some other people that were from the silent generation, but they were so small that we didn't think an analysis would be appropriate. Of the assembled population, 45% was male and 55% was female, which is pretty much as expected in a typical online gaming setting. For the KW test, there were generational differences in 11 of the 13 variables. That is actually quite high, and we did not expect that between generations there would be that big of a difference, but we did see that. And of course, like I said earlier, we did a post hoc test on the 11 variables to identify which pairs of the three generational groups are different, meaning out of the three groups that we focused on, three generations that we focused on, which ones are similar and which one is different, if any. So these are some of the results here. We found significant differences, like I said, in 11 of the 13 that we examined. And you look at them, it's basically everything. Number of slot days, table game play days, average amount of daily play time, average daily slot game. I'm not going to read them all, but we see that by generation, there's a big difference in how each generation plays online. The variables that were not significant were average daily amount won or lost in slot play and average daily amount won or lost in table gameplay. These are what I would like to think of as casino-related variables that the casino controls. Now, when we looked at the actual results, this is a summary of by generation, how is it different than the others. So for baby boomers, the play frequency, deposit days, trip length, relationship length, play time, and slot days are greater than the other generations. Okay, like Eunju said, they tend to be the bread and butter of regular casinos, and even online they are rather significant. Generation X had a little bit of a difference in that the daily slot gaming volume is greater than that of baby boomers. So they play more intensely when they do than baby boomers. Millennials, on the other hand, spend the least time and money on slot gaming among all generations. So there's a table tilt there. The table gaming days and daily table game volume is greater than that of other generations. So baby boomers and Generation X tend to be more slot, millennials more tables. And also their deposit bonus is greater than that of any other generations. Deposit bonus is basically when you get notified that if you deposit $100 today, we're going to give you an extra 20. That's the deposit bonus. So the casino gives you free money to play. We notice that millennials are much more likely to take advantage of that than other generations. So, in conclusion, how would you approach millennials? So Millennials have potential to become more active table game players, as we saw that, than they are right now. They are much more savvy with bonusing systems, much more likely to take advantage of casino bonuses once they're offered as far as deposits. Therefore, our conclusion is that casino managers may need to consider the following. Monitor millennials' table gaming behavior more closely. Develop strategy to boost their table gaming levels, at least for that casino that we looked at. And also promote slot play for established players. There's a reason we think why they're not gravitating towards slots, but I think there's an opportunity there as well. For Generation X, they have the potential to be more active players than they are now. As I said earlier, they tend to play rather sporadically but intensely. They are the largest group in the sample. And like I said, they have more intense play. So they have higher average bet, but less time than other generations. It's more like they don't have enough time, but when they play, they play pretty seriously. And of course, this does make sense considering that they have the greatest buying power and time to spend than other generations, and this has been proven by literature. So the marketing strategy needs to be focused on increasing trick frequency, length, and spending. That would be the best ROI. So try to make them come more often and stay longer. For baby boomers, like I said before, they are the bread and butter of online gaming. They present a great opportunity in that they can be expanded more, and the strategy needs to be focused on acquiring those players because they tend to be rather valuable. But like I said earlier, their average play is less than Generation X. So we did this for one casino. So there are some limitations there, and we have some ideas about how this research can be expanded. We did this at one casino. Other casinos can be different. We do not know the underlying channel by which each customer was acquired. So it's very possible that another casino, online casino, has a different mix than the one we currently have. So we think that frequency, games, and spending could change by casino and by market. Just like Eunju said, there are several markets in the US. We do have some information about the players, but we do not have all of the information. We don't have, for example, lifestyle demographic information, or we do not have information about their brick and mortar play or play in other online casinos. That can give us a much better idea because some of the players could be using us as a secondary or use the subject casino as a secondary place to play and not their primary place of play. There could be other analytical methods applied to gain additional insights and improve model performance. We did some, but there could be other things that can be done in the area of descriptive or predictive analytics. And one thing we did not have is we did not really speak to any of these folks, so we do not know what is motivating them and what is their behavior in general for the different generations that we were examining here. So I think that would be helpful as well. So if you have any questions, please, you can ask anytime, but I have my email and Eunju has her email too. Please reach out to us and we'll be glad to help out and answer any questions you guys have. And that is basically it.
Thank you very much, Matt and Eunju. We do have questions that have come in. First one, rather lengthy, so bear with me. Did or could you also run a multiple regression to see which of the 11 independent variables may play more or less of a role in the dependent variables. This type of analysis could be done within each group. Some of the variables may be significant in some groups and not in others, which would be very interesting to see.
Yes, that's actually a very good question. Yes, absolutely. In fact, we could predict the amount, we could run a model to predict the amount of play based upon other variables. So based on the amount of bonusing or the promotions or whatever it could be, age or anything, we could predict how much a person is going to play. I think if I understand this correctly, that's what it is. That's what the question is. Eunju, is this how you understand it as well?
Yes, and also there are different approaches we can take. We can look at generation as a categorical variable and see whether generation makes a difference in the individual player's play. And also we can take a look at different groups and run separate multiple regression for each generation, and then see which predictors are strongly associated with the amount of money they spend or time they play, and etc. So definitely it is, we've been thinking about it, and it'll be our next step to take. But we are trying to gather more data and have bigger sample, and also compare different markets and casinos. So that is what we are planning to do.
Thank you very much. We have our next question. Will you be discussing how millennials earn money from their online gaming other than traditional casino games, such as Twitch, etc.?
I do not know anything about this, how they're earning money about online game. Eunju, do you have any idea about this?
Unfortunately, the data we had is from the online casino, and also they included millennial information, this generation information. If we have other data from offline casinos or even sports betting or different gaming outlets or channels, we'd love to look at these matters.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Interesting idea, though. We welcome your ideas on that as well. Okay, and we still have plenty of time actually for questions about the generational behavior on gaming. So please fill your questions function with your questions. All right, our next one is perhaps a low-tech online gaming option could be provided to boomers who may be resistant to using technology. Perhaps the most popular game online could be brought online. Perhaps the most popular game offline could be brought online for them using a low-tech interface.
I actually like that idea very much. I did actually sign up with a couple of sites, and it is rather difficult to do. There's a bunch of settings that have to be done, and also just from a regulatory perspective, you have to send something and send something back, and they have to verify a bunch of stuff. So I would think that there's a certain percentage of people who are not as familiar with technology would have a problem with the sign up process. So they just refuse to use it. So I would definitely agree that if there's a lower tech solution, I think this would go a long way in getting more people. What are your thoughts, Eunju?
I agree with you. There's a lot of regulatory issues and to address, and it's still evolving. This online industry, gaming industry, is still evolving. So someday, yes, I would love to, see any overlaps or any conversion between offline and online gaming industry.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next one is a comment actually. the same one who asked about the Twitch. He says one of his clients is an active gamer and says that there are gamers on Twitch that earn millions of dollars. Good for them. I wish I knew that secret. Our next question is, and thank you very much for that, by the way. Our next question is, was there anything that you saw in the data to suggest why millennials might participate in table games more than slots?
Not necessarily from the data, but just from overall and anecdotal references we hear, is that they like the interactive nature of it. So if you're playing poker or even roulette, you see how others are playing and what others are placing their bets, and they're going up and down and so forth. And this kind of communal game attracts millennials more than just the solitary game, which is a slot machine, and you just sit there and just see the thing spin. So that would be my guess. Eunju, any ideas on that?
A lot of, although we didn't ask them or ask their motivation preferences, it's purely based on tracked data, and that's what we analyze. So we cannot, go far about why millennials tend to prefer table games, but it could be like many, some pundits suggested, because they grow with these video games, interactive video games. So they prefer some kind of control or skills in games. So that could be one reason. And also, if you look at, I don't think we had that information, but in the distribution between male and female in the millennial group, we had slightly more males than females. 54% of the millennials group was male and 46 was female. So that might be something to do with the finding here, why there was perhaps higher table gaming play compared to other groups. But that's definitely something to look into in the future research.
Yeah, Eunju, that's actually very good. Yeah, I completely agree. Just as an aside, in a regular casino, any regular casino, table games tend to skew male, and females tend to play slots more often. So since in our sample among millennials, the population tended to be more male. That's why the affinity towards tables as well. And regarding the skill level, there are table games such as blackjack and poker that lend themselves to skill-based gaming, whereas in slot machines, it's basically pure luck. And millennials are more adverse to that idea than the other generations.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, our next question is, what are your views on if or when online poker will ever be allowed nationwide? Crystal ball time.
Eunju, you want to try to answer that one?
I don't know when, but a lot of talk, ongoing discussion in different states, not just the poker, but in general, online gambling and social gaming. So, but still at the federal level, it is illegal, but some states allow that. So it's something that I wish I can predict, but I don't know.
Yeah, from my experience, once a state realizes, or hold on a second, I should not say a state. Once politicians realize how much money they can get by allowing gaming, the morality aspect disappears. We saw this in several states that are very anti-gaming to begin with, such as Mississippi and Louisiana and others, where they were very anti-gaming states. But then when they saw the gains that can be gained by the tax revenue that can be generated by gaming in general, then gaming was allowed. The same thing for right now, for example, with gaming, with online gaming booming in New Jersey with double-digit growth. The word is that Pennsylvania is in the process of allowing it, which is right next door. The thinking is that many Pennsylvanians, just like when there was gaming in New Jersey and not in Pennsylvania, people would drive to New Jersey to play. The thinking right now is that people are going to New Jersey to play online games and driving back to Philadelphia or to someplace in Pennsylvania. So it will spread, but on a nationwide level, that is a more difficult proposition.
True. Thank you very much. All right. Next is just a follow-up on a previous question. These are great questions and insights. I also suspect that millennials desire a sense of community, and the board games would potentially provide this in some way. Thank you for that. Our next question is, for the online casino studied, what was the most common way that online customers were acquired? Did they come in through search, email, others? Does online play vary by acquisition source?
Yeah, I cannot answer so much the second part as far as how do they vary by source, because I heard different things, but the casino that we examined in order to get a license, a lot of them have to have a brick and mortar presence, and then they can go to online. And the biggest source of acquisition was actually putting billboards inside a regular casino that, hey, continue. I've seen it in a few places. It's like, are you having fun? Please continue playing with us and they give a website address. And that would be the biggest source, because these people like to play anyway. So that would be. But there are people definitely who are just strictly online players and would never enter a casino, but they just play online and they're purely acquired online. And a lot of them is through search engine. And that's what I heard. I don't have any numbers behind it.
Yeah, we didn't have any data on different acquisition channels, which we had, so that we can analyze. But given the high presence of millennials in the social network channels and online, and their access to heavy usage of the internet, definitely there should be a study about the effects of different acquisition channels on customer acquisition and retention as well.
Thank you very much. Again, we still have time for questions, but we have some here. What are the online gaming motivators for each group?
Eunju, I think you touched upon that as far as especially right. Millennials versus non-millennials.
Yep, we didn't study motivations, but based on our findings, it appears that millennials have higher bonus amount than other generations. So based on this finding, it looks like millennials are more sensitive to promotional offerings than others. So, but in terms of motivations, why they choose online versus offline, or which games they play, unfortunately, we don't have the data to analyze on that.
Thank you very much. We have another one in. Given the wide date range for the generation categories, are Are there differences within subsets of each generation on their gaming behavior?
I would like to think so. There must be, because even though this is when you're dealing with any kind of continuous variable and you divide it into a category, it's not like, oh no, you're born in 1962, therefore you're completely different somebody born in 1963. Why? Even though you have a year difference, you're completely from a different generation. Of course not. Of course there's a continuum, right? But these are just boundaries that have been set, and we'd like to group things that way. Just from having done this for many, many years, I would think that the any kind of conclusion would be more typical of the predominant grouping or subgrouping within that category. And as you get to either side of the generation, the traits will be that of the next generation that is closest to you.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, it does, absolutely. I myself, I'm at the tail end of the baby boomer generation, and I have completely different viewpoints from my older siblings and friends of theirs. So it makes sense.
See, who decided on that? It's an arbitrary line. Somebody decide.
Yeah.
Define your own, Lisa. Tell them
Okay.
no. We're going to define it here. I'm in your generation.
There you go. We're cooler. Anyway. All right. We have another question. While your study shows the differences in gaming behavior between generations, is a survey needed to know their views or perceptions of online gaming?
The answer is clearly yes, of course, because we don't really know what they're thinking. We just are observing behavior. Eunju, what are your thoughts?
Oh, definitely yes. This study is solely based on transactional data, and I mean, often transactional data can capture more accurate pictures of gaming behavior than surveys, because sometimes people are not always honest or give biased responses to some sensitive survey questions. So there should be both the future research should address both sides, both quantitative side based on transactional data, but also qualitative approach to understand people's deeper reasoning and feelings and perceptions, motivations about online gaming. Definitely two different streams of study can enhance our understanding of gaming behavior better.
Yeah. Just one more thing to add here. From having read many articles on motivators for offline gaming, that is regular casino gaming, the motivators and what people like about it, the whole casino experience, is rather varied by age and also varied by gender. Also, you can argue socioeconomic class, but that's another issue. So for many people, it's just a pastime. So we see that in the older generations that we're looking at, where the play tends to be, where the data show that the play tends to be rather smaller bets, longer period of time, versus for baby boomers, whereas for Generation X, it tends to be more intense, but at a higher level. So there's, just by looking at those numbers, we can say that the motivators look like they're different, but we don't really know. It's just speculation at this point. And we can say maybe whatever we see in a casino can apply, but we're not really sure about that.
Interesting. Okay, another question, and again, we still have time, so it's a very fascinating topic, so we still have time for questions. But our next one is, does the acquisition channel make a difference for different generations?
I would think so, yes, because I actually worked, and so did Eunju in gaming for a while, and we actually used that the channel by which we acquired somebody as a way to market to them and to know their future potential. So it definitely makes a difference if that person came through, like I said earlier, through they're walking inside the casino and they have an offline gaming profile and they're continuing that, or they just did a search, or they're just a regular gaming enthusiast in general that play without money and then they started playing with money. So I would definitely think that there would be a difference not only in gaming behavior but also in value as to the acquisition channel. And would like to hear your point of view, Eunju.
Yes, definitely. I would say that there's differences, although that was not part of our study. But based on my gaming industry work experience and research I've done, people from different channels have a different play. For example, in the hotel segment, there are people walking, or people came from online third-party online acquisition channels, wholesale or independent travelers. Different channels have different levels of a play. And also nowadays with social media and online, definitely I would say there should be some differences and I'd like to look into more that area if data is available and opportunities there.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, there doesn't seem to be any more questions. So again, for the audience, thank you very much for your attention. We will be sending out the recording of this webinar as well as a PDF of the slides so you could share with your colleagues. And we hope if you have a story of your own you'd like to share with this group, just contact me and we can chat about that. You will be receiving an email shortly, later today actually, or possibly tomorrow, depending on how fast we can get the recording uploaded, with that information as well as the upcoming events. Thank you so much, Matt and Eunju, for this really fascinating information, and we look forward to another episode in the future with your research. So again, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for joining us at this DMA webinar.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for hosting it.
Thank you.